Okay, y'all. Okay, y'all. It's been a little while since I've been around here talking about UFC, but we back now. We're gonna try to make this a routine. Try to give y'all some coverage for these events going on. Because the UFC is big now, man. Like they just got like what 7.7 billion from Paramount. That's that's pretty major, you know. The sport is only gonna go up and up, and we're here to talk about UFC 319. And this is your boy Dolo Ren. I know y'all remember me. You know how I do. You know how I come and lay it down for y'all, give y'all an analysis and, you know, everything in that's incorporated. But this time we're gonna keep it a little short. We're gonna keep it up to like 10 to 15 minutes. And we're gonna just go over like three fights, the main event, and like two other undercard fights. And we're gonna do that. That's how we're gonna proceed. But by the way, this is Productive Conversations Podcast, episode 583, with your boy, Dolo Ren, the MMA slash boxing content creator of the century, or at least from Norwalk, at least from my section of the world. Anyways, let's get into this, man. Let's get into this because we got a lot to talk about in a short span of time, but we're gonna get to it. Don't mind my messy room. I didn't really get time to clean up. Ignore that. Let's do it. So with this event, we have the main event that has been kind of almost prophesized for a little while as far as Khamzat Chimaev goes, because he's been basically someone that's had like a rocket put onto him, when he came into the UFC and he started wowing people with his speed, his power, his all-around ability, and being new to the game. But it's finally come to the point where he's gonna fight for a title. And now the guy's always injured, but he's here now and he's facing one of the most dominant champions that we've ever seen at that weight class, and Dricus du Plessis, right? Dricus du Plessis, sorry, from South Africa, the Boer, as they call him. He's been on a run. We're gonna talk about that soon. We're gonna talk about all this soon, but I just had to introduce the main event real quick. That's what everybody's coming to see, and it's gonna be finally time to see what Khamzat Chimaev is made of. But we got two other fights to cover before that. And to be honest with you, this is a pretty stacked card, man. They got Aaron Pico's debut coming up in this card. Uh Shoot. We got a lot of other guys like Brian Battle's coming back. Brian Battle, Jessica Andrade, uh, and of course, the fighters I'm gonna mention. But it's gonna be it seems like a pretty stacked card, on paper. It's not like the biggest names in the world or in the company, but big enough for people to get interested and to get some ramblings going on about it. Yeah, it's looking like a pretty good card. I'm predicting an overall pretty good card with pretty good performances. I'm not sure how it'll rank, but we'll see. It might all depend on how that main event goes, because it'll be a barn. I think it's gonna be like, I don't know if barn burner is the no barn burner is when a fight is boring, but I believe right. Yeah. Either way, I don't think it's gonna be a boring fight. I think it's gonna be a really good fight, and the people are gonna get their money. But I want to talk about two other fights before we get into the main event. I'm gonna start off with Michael Venom Page, right? Michael Venom Page, and they are fighting at middleweight. Michael Venom Page from Bellator is now in the UFC. He's basically acclimated to the climate and acclimated to the style of opponents and the caliber of opponents that are in the UFC now. So kudos to him. He made his impression, and he made it at a very late stage in his career. He's 38 years old. I admire. It took me some time to admire MVP, just because he was in Bellator for so long. But now that he's in the UFC, he has proven beyond a shadow of a doubt, if he didn't before, that he is a premier talent, even at this late stage in his career. So, Michael Page, that's the man. He's from England. Michael Page is fighting Jared Cannonier. You got that? MVP versus Jared Cannonier. Jared Cannonier is another guy, man. He's also older as well. He's like 41, whereas Michael Venom Page is 38. They're both late stage in their career, with Cannonier being a little bit later, as far as age. And, Jared Cannonier used to be in two different weight classes. And now that he's back to middleweight, he's been able to bring a lot of power. We saw that against the fight with Marvin Vittori, you know. Uh, we saw that with his recent showing against RoboCop. So, Gregory Rodriguez, uh, yeah, he's had some good performances, man. Like, he's a good Muay Thai fighter. He's a good striker. He's not like the biggest like takedown dude, but neither is Michael Venom Page. So this is really a good fight. We got two good strikers. Jared Cannonier, he's more like, he's a lot more stocky. He's a lot more stronger. He's a come forward, put you out, try to, kick your legs while putting it on you. He comes with pressure and a lot of strength. And that's a dangerous combo for someone that used to be a heavyweight, bringing that power down to middleweight. You can never really count Cannonier out. He's a very good fighter, very good fighter. And obviously, we know Michael Venom Page. Michael Venom Page is one of the flashiest strikers you'll ever see in MMA or in combat sports, period, man. He has incredible footwork. Uh, he also has the reach and the height to go with that. It really adds, to his game that he's able to keep you at a distance and be so tall and, be so bouncy. It's very hard to hit him and it's very easy for him to hit you because he'll be in and out. You know, he really uses that octagon like a canvas and, he's one of those guys that you could really consider a real mixed martial artist, like a real artist. MVP is nice, man. He's nice. He's been an asshole before, in Bellator with the Pokeball after knocking that guy out, breaking his damn skull and then throwing a Pokeball at him. That was that was hilarious. But, you know, it's just like, I don't think he's gonna be doing all that. He hasn't done all that so far in the UFC. I don't think Dana would even allow that. I think he would put a cap on that real quick. But I would like to see it. I like to see it. Sure, it makes me laugh either way. I see MVP getting this W. Now, they're both coming off of good wins. Cannonier coming off of the RoboCop win, fighting a tall guy, kind of like Michael Page, but, with a lot more force and a lot more strength. But, he's fighting, Cannonier's fighting another tall guy in MVP that has a lot of footwork, is balanced, has the speed and the power, can go in and out, can hit you at all type of angles and Jared Cannonier will be able to catch him with that leg kick, that sneaky little leg kick he does when his opponent is exiting. I think he's going to be trying to land that to set up some bigger shots. But I think Michael Venom Page is going to be able to dance around him. Like we saw what he did with Shara Bullet, and that was a very good performance, man. Like he was like disciplined. Like Michael Venom Page is disciplined, and so is Cannonier. But MVP is disciplined within his realm of how he does his thing, Like he can spend all 5 rounds, 3 rounds, whatever, going in a circle, dancing around you, picking his shots. He can do that. So I do think he's gonna do that with Cannonier. I do believe that. I do believe that. And I think we're gonna see a pretty good performance again by MVP. And this performance might really put him in a good position to maybe, fight for a title. But then again, the title we're talking about is basically yeah. Like, I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to wait for that. Maybe I'm going a little bit too far right there. But Yeah, he might either be fighting Dricus or Kamzat. You never know. But uh that's a little bit too far. But as far as this fight goes, just to wrap it up for you, both are gonna come in strong. It's gonna be a really good fight. But MVP's is gonna operate at a higher level, at another gear, and he's gonna be able to stay away from any danger that Cannonier could bring to him. Although Cannonier might, catch him, it's very possible. I just don't think it'll be enough to get someone like MVP out. It'll have to be something really like calculated and really for certain. Because Shar was a good striker too, and MVP really put it on him. And Shar was 32 years old whereas Cannonier's 41. The mobility isn't the same. So yeah, I see MVP taking that win. I see him taking that win and being set up for a big fight next. So we'll see how that goes. All right. Now, for the next fight that I want to cover, all right, we're going to talk about the BJJ nerd, Carlos Prates, the Brazilian BJJ nerd, cigarette smoking, Carlos Prates, the phenom, the guy that's been coming in, getting these guys out, putting them out, using that clinch with the knees and using his boxing and his Muay Thai and that jujitsu. He's a hell of a fighter. He's a hell of a fighter. He's fighting Jeff Neal from the USA. Jeff Neal, a guy that's been around for a little while. You know what I mean? Like he's got some skin in the game. He has a win over Bilal Muhammad, which is pretty crazy. He he had a win against RDA recently, I believe. RDA. And he had two losses against Ian Gary and Rachmanov back to back, but those are two pretty good fighters. Like Ian Gary is like kind of like a shadow in this whole event right now. He kind of overshadows a few of these guys like MVP, like Pratis and Neil. So, it's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. But, you know, these are two guys that lost to Ian Gary, the Cuck Ninja, as we would call him. Uh, and they're both really good fighters. Like this is like one of those scraps. It's like a lower ranking scrap basically with some good guys in the mix. And their fighting styles will cater to like I think this could really be the best fight of the night. If unless the main event goes crazy, right? Like MVP and Cannoneer, that's gonna be a back and forth, but it's gonna be like a chess match with like one really smart chess player and another pretty good chess player, but just isn't doesn't have the faculties to really take on the master chess player. You know what I mean? But this fight right here, Jeff Neal and Carlos Prates, is gonna be a back and forth. Jeff Neal comes forward with a lot of pressure. He has pretty crisp boxing. Like, he doesn't set it up. He doesn't set it up crisply. But when he puts his shots and when he lands them, when he gets in his groove, he can land some hard shots. He was catching Ian Gary with some hard shots, throughout the fight. And we've seen how he styled on Bilal Muhammad. Jeff Neal is pretty good, man. Jeff Neal is pretty good. I like his style. It's not going to cater to him being the best in the division, but he'll always bring a good fight. And I feel the same way about Carlos Prates, but in a different sense. You know, the whole thing with him smoking cigarettes, I feel like that affects him. Yeah, he did almost get Ian Gary out in that fifth round of that last fight, but he was losing 4 rounds straight, basically. And maybe those cigarettes really were affecting him in that fifth round where he couldn't perform like he wanted to. Uh, I would say that makes sense. That makes sense. If he cuts the cigarettes out, Pratis could be on another level. Like Pratis could be like, and on paper he looks amazing. On paper he looks amazing. You know what I mean? He has some really good wins, like Neil Magny, Lin Jingling, but it's just uh on paper it looks like Carlos Prates would win, but A fight that I studied to come up with this analysis was the Ian Gary fight, the Cuck Ninja. I had to see how they performed against the Cuck Ninja. And I honestly, even though Carlos Prates almost got him out in that fifth round, and Jeff Neal only went 3 rounds with him because it was a 3 round scheduled fight, uh, I was more impressed with how Jeff Neal was able to still get some shots in and still come forward even throughout all of the offense that Gary was throwing at him, which says a lot to his toughness, to Neal's toughness and, his resilience, I guess you could say. And Carlos Prates was losing like 4 rounds straight to Ian Gary and almost got him out of there in the fifth round. But the way that they exchanged was really how I was able to determine a winner here. Um, I noticed that like Carlos Prates would kind of like shell up and like he wouldn't think too much and he'd kind of be on his back foot a lot of the time. Not all the time, but a lot of the time in that fight because Ian Gary was really putting it on him. But Jeff Neal, what I noticed with Jeff Neal is that he kept coming forward even through all those shots. You know, he kept marching forward. He put his game out there and he didn't win, but he made it look pretty good. Uh, I do think Carlos Prates with the clinches, they're going to be close. This is going to fight where neither one is really going to back up too much. Maybe Carlos Prates will back up a little more, but that's only, that's only probably because he was fighting Ian Gary that he was, you know, being a little more cautious. I think with Jeff Neal, he's going to be a little less cautious and think he could get him out of there. And Jeff Neal does have, trouble with taller, lankier guys. And Carlos Prates is a taller and longer guy. No diddy. But it's just the way that they fight. I think that Jeff Neal will be able to do a lot better inside. I think he'll be able to eat the knees on the clinch. I don't think the knees in the clinch will be what gets Neal out. I think it'll affect him, but it won't get him out. And Jeff Neal will be able to execute his game plan and get Carlos Prates out of there. Uh, but in like a really do or die fight, like this is gonna be to the wire, and I'm expecting this to probably be the best fight of the night. You know, you got Tim Elliott and Kai Asakura fighting too, and Kai Asakura is like an action star. When he fights, but this one I feel like is the low key underrated fight of the card of the whole entire night. And I see Jeff Neal winning that probably in a decision, split decision, but like a really good fight. Not like a whack split decision, like a split decision where like either one could have won it and nobody's really gonna be upset with how it goes. But I do feel like Jeff Neal is gonna edge it out. I think he's gonna get him out of there. Now, with the limited time we have left, we need to talk about Dricus du Plessis, the Boar, the South African Boar, versus Khamzat Chimaev, the crazy Russian guy. I think he's from Chechnya. I forgot. But either way, this is like this was like all coming to this is what was destined for Chimaev. Oh, I'm sorry. United Arab Emirates. Let me redo that. Khamzat Chimaev is from the United Arab Emirates. But, he'd be with them Russian boys. So, either way, that's my bad. Uh, yo, this is like, and it's almost perfect when you look at the dimensions. When you look at the dimensions, it's almost perfect. Like DDP 6'1", Khamzat Chimaev is 6'2". Khamzat Chimaev has longer reach. No, no, less reach. Like an inch less of reach, whereas DDP has an inch more of reach. And I don't have to talk about their resumes. You've seen Chimaev win every fight he's had so far in the UFC and has been running through guys like Kevin Holland, you know, uh, Gilbert Burns. That last fight with Robert Whitaker, man, that was insane, yo. That was like Yoel Romero levels of like destruction, to just crank somebody's jaw and just break it. And to do it to Bobby Knuckles, to my boy Bobby Knuckles of all people. That's how you gonna do Bobby Knuckles, bro? That's disrespectful. But I don't blame you. This is the game. I don't blame Shemaev. This is the game. And he even said it. He felt he didn't mean to do that, but this is what they do. Shemaev is a strong boy, and I know we all seen that clip of him twirling DC around. That's just recently popped up. Yeah, DC's like 250 pounds, not even in competition. Like he's fat. And Shemaev was twirling him around like a baby, legs in the air, all that. That was wild. And apparently that was like old footage, but either way, he's still coming with that kind of strength, maybe even more so now. But on the other side, we got Dricus du Plessis, someone that's been proving it time and time and time and time again. Time and time and time again. Sean Strickland twice. The second time just outclassed him completely. Adesanya got him out of there. Uh Shoot. Like he even beat Robert Whitaker too. Like, yo, like DDP's been on a generational run with the guys that he's fought. And Izzy is somebody I respect a lot too, man. Izzy is somebody I respect a lot. To have a win over him is a big deal to me. That's a big deal. You know, when you're talking about their styles, you're talking about, both are wrestlers. They're both really wrestler based and they can both strike. DDP has more like sluggish, kind of slower strikes, but in a quick in a quick split second, DDP can hit you with a perfect strike and put you out. That's his danger. His rhythm is off and it helps him in the best of ways possible. He looks unbalanced, which is, deceiving. Like that's the best thing to say about DDP is deceiving. His looks are deceiving, his striking is deceiving, and just the way he fights in general. He's way better than he looks and people know that now. It's not like a secret no more. People know that. People know what DDP can do. It's to the point that they think he has plot armor. Like y'all know about that. But DDP, man. Oh, I just hit my mic with my hat. DDP, he's been proving it and he's strong. That boy is strong too. You could just see it through his shirt, like the muscles, DDP is coming to win. I think he has just as much motivation as Shemaev does. I really do. Uh, I think Shemaev is gonna put on the best performance of his life for probably like the first two rounds. And Shemaev has always had like those stamina issues, and DDP hasn't. DDP has just had no stamina issues. They're basically the same in dimensions, and to be honest, I just think DDP is just proving it more than Khamzat Chimaev has. I think Chimaev is gonna face somebody in DDP that he's gonna be like overwhelmed with. This is a guy that's gonna come and try to overwhelm him the same way he wants to overwhelm DDP. And I would like to say it's Chimaev's time. I would, but I can't sleep on DDP. I can't sleep on DDP. He has the championship experience. Uh, he's beaten guys that he was underdogs against, and I just feel like it's DDP's time. And I think when he beats Shemaev, he might be in that conversation of best middleweight ever. So yeah, without rambling too much longer, I think that DDP is gonna get a late fight submission. I think he's gonna get a late fight submission, and he's gonna take Shemaev out in like round four or round five. Shemaev's not gonna be ready for those deep waters against a shark like DDP. He's not gonna be ready. So yeah, just wanted to kick that off to y'all, in this quick little segment. So to recap it for UFC 319, the three fights that I covered that I think you can lock in your parlay as easy W's are maybe not easy W's, but guaranteed, in that realm, like it get you some money type of W. Uh, Jeff Neal, bet on Jeff Neal, bet on MVP, and bet on DDP. Bet on all three of them to win for UFC 319. And you might as well throw Chase Hooper in there because, Chase Hooper and Aaron Pico. You could throw those two in there, to make it a little more risky. Those might be like easy lock-in wins, Chase Hooper and Aaron Pico, just because they're talented and they're getting like a rocket put on them, kind of in the same way that Sean O'Malley had. So you can add those in there too, but those three picks I gave you that we just talked about, I'm pretty certain on. MVP, Jeff Neal, DDP. Lock it in, get you some money. Maybe we'll talk about it after if it goes good. If it doesn't go good, you won't see me again. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, man, it's gonna be regardless, the rest of the card is gonna be pretty nice. And it's gonna be a good night. I think it's gonna be a good night of fights. We're gonna remember this one. And I think the main event is gonna be a pretty outstanding fight with Jeff Neal and Carlos Prates being the low key best fight in the night. So yeah, let me stop it right there. I'm gonna send this off to my mans. We're gonna edit that, put that out for you before this fight happens. And yeah, I hope y'all win some money. I hope y'all enjoy yourselves when you watch the fight. And yeah, that's it. That's basically all I got for y'all. So, subscribe to Productive Conversations podcast. Subscribe to Dolo Ren, my channel. I'm on YouTube, I'm on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all that stuff. Oh, X, I guess you'd call it now. But Productive Conversations podcast, the same deal. It's on YouTube. They upload every week. Instagram, TikTok clips, X post. We outside. We out here with it. So, come follow us, come subscribe to us. Like, share, comment if you like something. Let us know what you think. You know, let us know what you think about my predictions, if anything. Uh, this is how we rockin', man. So I'm gonna leave it right there, and I'm gonna let y'all go. And shoot, I'll be watching the fights. Hopefully we'll watch together. From one place to another. It's all global. The fight game is global. So, you know, yeah, that's all I got. So I'll see y'all next time. This is Dolo Ren signing out. I'll catch y'all. And good luck.